Today, my Rotatrim 36-inch paper cutter arrived, and we're going to do an unboxing. I've never done an unboxing before, so hopefully this is fine. Well, that was incredibly easy. It's already set up. I don't have to do anything. There's a little rubber band on the edge. That's it. I don't know what else to do in an unboxing video because I've never done one before. And I don't really watch them much. Okay, well, this thing makes a slidey noise. I'm pretty sure from watching some videos that you can put some silicone lubricant on this. It's just a little spray can that you can buy anywhere probably. This thing is really cool. You can put the paper up to it and it makes it so that if you wanted to do the exact same cut over and over and over, you put the thing up to right where it's supposed to go, cut, put it up, cut, and you can keep repeating. So if you want to like make cards to send out to people or something like that, or you're cutting up 8x10s constantly, you can just set that to what you need. So here's some numbers. This has a measuring out to 30 inches right here. This goes out to 36, but the actual cutting appears to go several inches past, maybe up to 37. There is a marker for 4x6, 8x10 letter, which is 8.5 by 11, 11 by 14. It has an arrow that points this direction for the cut, so I guess that means when you're cutting, swipe that way. And if I look, yep, that's where the blade is. The blade's on this side. This side has a blade guard, it looks like, so I'm not going to touch the blade on that side. But if you try to cut this direction, it's not going to work. I believe the 24-inch and below have a dual-sided cutting motion, whereas everything above 24 I think is single direction. This is the Pro 36-inch Master Cut 2 by Rotatrim. There's also a marker that says A letter, B ledger, C and D. I'm not sure what the C and the D are for. I'm not really quite that professional yet. But overall it looks pretty awesome. And let's get some paper out. Okay, here we have a picture of my family on the beach with this really cool looking tree. And I have a very thin slice of white paper that I want to get off. So I'm going to try this out. Now remember, I have to bring the cutting this direction. So I'm going to line this up. Why don't we try with something a little bit easier? I'm going to try this side. There's actually a plastic guard here that you can take off, but the plastic guard, you can see right, the top of it lines up. You can use that as a guide, but it doesn't appear to be lined up with the edge of the metal. So I think the metal is actually where we're going to want to be. There are some screws right here and on this side that if you wanted to take it off, it's just a Phillips head screw, it looks like. I'm just going to do one practice cut just for fun. Ooh, that is nice. That just like butter. So I need to bring it back because I can only cut one direction. Oh my gosh, that is just so clean. There is a way to verify that this is square. I'm not doing that right now, but basically you can measure, this is supposed to be a right angle, and you can do the 3-4-5 rule where this is up to 30. So then we'd want to measure out here to 40, and then the distance of the hypotenuse is supposed to be 50 because it's 3-4-5. That's a pretty common technique used in construction for deciding if a room is square or a wall is square. Okay, so one way you can do this is to line up the, it's kind of hard to see on that, but let's just say that the corners you can line up with the metal. Let me see if I can angle this at all a little bit better. There's a metal edge to this. That's where we actually are going to get the cut from, because it's basically a circular blade coming along and slicing the paper. What we need, exact point on this picture to cut. One way to do that is to instead look where the tip of the picture ends and cut a little bit past that, just a little bit past. Okay, so now you can see the tip of the picture. We've got a little bit of white showing. We're going to do the same thing on this side. I've nearly got it right on the actual tip. But now when I compare, what is that? Now when I compare, I can actually see the actual tip a lot better when there's something behind it, and I want to see where that something behind it starts. So now I can line the actual tip of the picture up with the tip of the picture on the left and the right. Slide that along, and boom. There is such a clean cut. There we got it. Right here. Very clean cut. Now there is just a hair on this side. There's just a hair of white showing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can trim that off. I cannot trim that off with my chop. It's like a guillotine, but I mean, I can't even put this A1 on here, or A2, whatever this is. It's a 17 by 25. It just doesn't fit. Because this thing can only do 12 inches or whatever. But check this out. If I'm like, hey, I want to cut this, and I want to cut just a little bit of it, it's like, eh. Oh my goodness. That is such a tiny, tiny, tiny ribbon curl that I just shaved off. That's exactly what I bought this for. Because whenever I was cutting out 8x10s, I would inevitably, I'd use my chop cutter, and my chop cutter just would not get perfect lines, and I couldn't shave off even a millimeter. I had to shave off more than a millimeter on those. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to bring the cutting blade over here. I'm going to line this up, chop off the corner, come back over here, chop off the corner. Now I can line this up. I don't even have to use the edge over here when I'm doing this. I can just line that up visually straight down. I already know that I did the same thing on this side. I just barely missed it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that right back on. Put that just a hair past. Boom. Oh my gosh, that does such a great job. Okay, what we have here is a piece of Red River Blanco matte canvas. I'm going to try giving this a cut. So I need to move this back. We're just going to try cutting out some of it. I'm going to hold this down. And it does have a little bit of a stiffer cut, but I think it comes out, you can see it did a pretty dang good job cutting that right where we needed it. So I'm gonna try the same approach we did on the other thing, but this time I'm gonna put my finger just on here just to hold it down. I'm going to put the tip of the picture right along where the edge of the metal is. I'm just going to cut that off. So I'm going to hold this down. I'm going to move this across. Let's see if you can see that, if I'm looking at it better. So you can see that I'm cutting really close, not getting all the way there, but I'm getting really close just to see. And then I can try again, cut off a little bit more. I can see the shadow. And I'm not having any problems with this. So the other video that I saw, somebody was having trouble with this. I'm not sure if she had the plastic guard on here to help hold it down or what. She had the 24-inch. So I'm going to now give this a little cut. And I'm just trying this, and I don't really care for this particular canvas. Normally when you do canvas, you're going to have some extra to wrap around things. I'm just practicing cutting, and it did a great job. There's no real, I mean, there's a little bit of resistance when you're pushing. So having that plastic guard on just to give it a little support is quite useful, I think. Well, I need to cut the corner. Even when I'm not pressing the plastic, it seems to not really have a whole lot of trouble. I mean, it's able to get a tiny ribbon curl off that. It's not quite as small as the other one. I wasn't really trying for a specific, but this is a 8x10. Yeah, it did all 4 cuts, no problem. So that turned out great, I think. Well, I've had it for a day now. I'm pretty happy with it. When buying a printer, the next big thing to consider is getting a quality paper cutter. One that can handle something that you're going to be printing. And if your printer is a big one like mine, you might even need something bigger. There's also rulers that are really long, like 6 or 8 feet, that have a guide on them with a razor blade that you can get if you need to cut something even larger. For me, most of the stuff I've been printing, it's been fine just cutting with the built-in cutter that comes in the Canon Pro 4100. I'm pretty excited, which is silly for being an adult. Apparently that's what gets adults excited, is paper cutters. Well, hopefully this was helpful.